Should you buy Wanderer Fragments of Fate? That answer is not yet. Today we're going to talk about its flaws, but all hope is not lost, so stick around and find out why. I'm AMVR and just 5% of my viewers are subscribed, so give this video a watch, and if you like it, join the 5%. Hit subscribe. But enough self-promo, let's just get right to why you're here. Fragments of Fate, it needed to wait. This game needed probably another year's worth of production time. And a quick thank you to Mighty Ice for providing me with the review keys for the game. So far, I'm only about halfway through the PSVR 2 version of the game, and I haven't tried the Quest version yet, because I am just struggling on PSVR 2. I'm just encountering way too many bugs and errors that I'm just gonna press pause on my playthrough for a while. Performance seems pretty good for the most part, but there are some slowdowns, especially in the later scenes. I noticed it most during the World War II sections. But worse are the bugs. I've had crashes, and sometimes it was random, and at other times I could replicate it every single time. I've also had items just straight up disappear entirely at times, and at others, just weren't where I left them. And that's a pretty puzzling flaw for an item-based puzzle game. It's a huge problem. Thankfully, reloading saves has helped me, but I still wasted a lot of time just wandering around. This could be game-breaking for some, especially if you don't have a lot of time to play. But the worst thing about the game is the combat. It's bad, just kind of straight up bad. The shooting mechanics themselves feel pretty good. Manual reloading and the weapon handling, it's all pretty good. But it's the AI. The enemies are they're just stupid. These enemies cannot path through the world. They get stuck on the other side of rocks, blocked by corners, doors, or even stairs. And they just don't seem to have any kind of brain at all. I also encountered some firing animation bugs with this drone. It looked like it was shooting to the side, but in reality it was pointing directly at me, which was very confusing. Yikes. The melee combat is not much better. It's very clunky. Enemies don't really seem to react when hit. It needs a lot of work. And throwing knives, it's very effective, but feels incredibly empty. It's easy to do, but when it hits, there's really no sound, no kind of animation that accompanies it. Sometimes it looks like the knife is just floating out of their body, and then they just kind of topple over. Very unsatisfying. But it is important to note that combat is just a small portion of this game. It's really used to kind of just break up the pacing. And at its core, Wanderer Fragments of Fate is a brilliant puzzle game. So let's move on. The full body IK or full body avatar system is overall pretty good. It feels pretty natural and you don't get stuck too often, but it does sometimes interact with the world in some weird ways. At times, my body was just thrown across the level, and your limbs, they kind of do funny things when you enter a new timeline. But I do like the climbing and parkour sections of the game. It's a great way to break up the pacing of the game, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. These sections feel a lot like parkour puzzles, but the climbing does feel a little bit picky. If you reach too far, sometimes the grab point just wouldn't activate. So for me, I had to pace myself and remind myself not to skip grab points, which was a little annoying. Most of the game's new content that I've experienced takes the form of these kind of parkour climbing puzzles. It doesn't really feel like they added large new sections of the game. Instead, it feels more like they fleshed out some of the puzzles a bit more. For example, instead of doing something like opening a drawer to find an item you need, you instead need to climb through a series of traps, dodge some poisonous darts, and then you get the item that was originally located in the drawer. I've also encountered some really broken story animations like this scene here. Pretty sure that's not how people walk, although it did make me laugh in kind of a disappointing way when I saw it. I also think Fragments of Fate could use kind of a rethinking of its inventory system. It's like the developers knew the old system was a bit of a problem, but kind of didn't fully let go of it. They developed a new weapon wheel type of system, but for some reason they introduced it about a third of the way into the game. Not sure why it just wasn't there from the start. Same goes for the new fragment storage system. It's great, it saves a ton of time in jumping back and forth between timelines and going to the apartment, but just give it to me right away. I enjoyed doing the puzzle to get the new system, but yeah, just give it to me right away. But your grandfather's apartment is still the ultimate inventory system in Wanderer. And for most players, this will become the default location that you store your items. At least it should be. At least it should be, because you don't want to forget where you put something if you gotta go back to the moon to grab something, and who knows where it is. So I do think this needs to be addressed with some kind of official item storage solution within the apartment itself. There is light at the end of this tunnel, and it takes the form of a roadmap that was just released. And in this roadmap, we see a lot of pledges to fix these problems. It sounds like we are getting that bespoke item system and even an armory, which is great because I straight up just lost my shotgun. It disappeared. I have no idea where it went to. I can't find it at all. Of course, they list out various performance fixes, but the main one that I want to call out is the combat overhauls. Mighty Eyes is taking a two-tiered approach here. In May, they are going to do a pass on the pathing and melee combat, and then by July, it looks like the focus becomes throwables and further improving the AI. For me, I'm not touching this game until the combat gets improved. I want to experience it to its fullest. So I recommend waiting for that second combat patch. Then check in with me or another YouTuber to see if the game has been fixed. But I'll be honest here, I am a little bit skeptical if they're actually going to pull it off. I don't think the combat in this game will really ever be great. It certainly can improve, but this will never be a combat first game with combat level design and kind of cerebral enemies. And for me, I kind of think Fragments of Fate needs a lot more time spent on polishing the combat than just a few months, but we'll see. So if you're interested in seeing how these patches turn out, let me know in the comments down below. If it seems like there's enough interest, I could do another video about its progress. So for right now, Fragments of Fate gets a wait for me. And it does pain me to say that because you can just feel how brilliant the core of this game is. But I just hope they can round out that whole experience. And that, everyone, is today's video. Thanks for watching. If you found it helpful, consider subscribing. Thanks again, and catch you next time.